In the early 90s, there was a first attempt at doing comic book movies. The 1989 Batman by newcomer Tim Burton showed that, if done well, they could be profitable. Now, there were plenty of other attempts that fell on their face, but not all of them. Before buying out Marvel, Disney decided to dip their toe into the comic book movie genre with a lesser-known hero. Today we are going to look at the 1991 hit movie, The Rocketeer. I'm Ollamh, and welcome to Geek Corner Reviews. So we open up, surprisingly enough, without narration, in an airfield set near LA, and a pilot flying a new plane for the first time. His older friend, mentor, pit crew chief, is giving him several pointers. I do believe that is what they call foreshadowing. There's just no other reason for the line.
She's going to take us all the way to the Nationals.
The Nationals? What are those? And so help me goodness, if somebody says this close, I'll shoot them. Oh, and that doesn't spell doom or anything. I thought all pilots were at least a little superstitious. Now here's a shot that never should have made it in. When we see him getting buttoned into the plane, the clear dome is just a little bubble, and then the plane widens out. Here, he either has really slim shoulders, or the aspect ratio of the shot is way off. Well, that escalated quickly. Apparently, there is a chase involving the cops and feds. Our hero flies over as the gunmen decide that the car chasing them isn't important anymore. We gotta shoot down the airplane. And trust me, that decision has consequences for everyone. You know, just in case you didn't know that it was set in the past, we have name dropping like Hoover being the head of the FBI.
Let's go, Lenny. We can't get caught with
Lousy feds.
Yeah, how dare they shoot someone who was just wanting to steal something and was actively trying to kill them. So everyone realizes there's something wrong when our hero starts flying back and his plane is sputtering and smoking. These guys are just geniuses. I think the Nationals aren't looking so good.
Well, that's the end of that.
Thank you, Grandpa Understatement. Where would we be without you? So obviously, they were after a stolen piece of technology called the X3, designed and made by one Howard Hughes, played by one of the best casting choices for the role. He's quite happy that the prototype is destroyed.
Tell him Howard Hughes said so.
I'm sorry, fellas. I hate to kick you when you're down.
But I'm totally going to.
I'm out of pocket.
Just so that when something bad happens to me later, you won't feel sorrow, but that justice has been served.
What? What's the matter?
I don't know. There's something under the seat.
Gee, I wonder what they could be. The prototype X3?
I wouldn't touch that if I were you.
Third-degree burns all around. Mother of God, you look ridiculous.
You didn't play straight with me.
Oh God, we had Wade Newton last week and now Timothy Dalton. This scares the living daylights out of me.
We lost it.
Wow, that was a short movie. Oh, thankfully the statue is able to steer rather than just flying in circles or in a straight line. We get introduced to the female lead, a struggling actress who is trying to get a decent
I won't
role.
know for sure till tomorrow, but the director said that he liked my reading the best.
Oh, you mean you have lines this time?
Herr Hitler assures the Western powers he is not massing troops at the Czech border.
Oh, I'm sure he's just misunderstood. I mean, a man with that kind of mustache is just a big teddy bear, right?
Look us up, boys, when you get to Hollywood.
Wait, did this cut to Dick Tracy? No, seriously, did I get a bad copy of the film? Yeah, get up out of that bed and out of traction and open this door right now. And now for the best walk-off for a villain ever. So after the movie, they talk about all the problems with a film about World War I, or known then just as the Great War. Through a series of convenient lines, Jenny finds out that Cliff hasn't been completely honest about how the test flight went. So Jenny storms off and Cliff goes back home.
Well, you have a good time?
Is it just me, or do these two sharing a home feel awkward? So Peeve starts working on the jetpack, or at least a helmet for the outfit.
He has got to be kidding.
Nope, 100% serious. We get to see that Dalton is a big-name actor as Cliff wanders onto the set and causes problems. This guy is just bad luck for everyone around him.
It's an engine, okay? But you
Oh look, he even tips Sinclair to the fact that the jetpack has been found. Seriously, worst hero ever. So when someone else goes up for the clown act and causes a problem, Cliff has to don the outfit and take off to save the day. Now how the hell does he keep from burning his ass? Hey, look at those flames! Of course, Cliff manages to save the day and even flies off so that nobody discovers who he is. Thankfully, Peeve is able to keep up with him in a truck. That's right, a truck is able to keep up with the Rocketeer.
I like it.
Of course you do. So after leaving the mobsters behind, the jerk at the airfield coins the name Rocketeer, and everyone hears about it. Later that night, the FBI go to talk to Bigelow about the Rocketeer, but someone's been there before him.
Mother mercy. It's been folded in half.
See? You don't feel the least bit bad about it, do you? So while Peeve is working on the plans for the rocket, Lothar visits. Thankfully, Peeve has the forethought to hide the pack. We see a very one-sided fight while the feds take their sweet time getting in position.
Murph, wait here for the high sign.
Oh, and a very lame visual pun. So the feds ruined their airplane, and now their house is getting riddled with bullet holes. And how lucky is it that the feds shot his hat and nothing else? I mean, that many bullets flying, and he should have gotten hit at least once. Meanwhile, Jenny and Sinclair are having a pleasant evening, name-dropping a few actors of the time.
Neville?
Hello, Doc.
You old scallywag!
Hello, Bill. How are you?
It just so happens that the club is owned by the mobster Sinclair hired to find the jetpack.
My guys are terrible.
Convenience!
Tree jerk.
Oh, now we're back to the boys, hiding out above the diner, and discussing what to do with the rocket. They find out that Bigelow is dead, and Cliff decides that calling the feds is the right idea. But, while making the call, guess who shows up?
Madam, we're looking for a pilot by the name of Cliff Secord.
That's right, the mobsters. Thankfully, everyone can tell that they're no good and keeps their mouth shut. And in case you didn't know that the mobsters were the bad guys, they tear up the diner and almost burn Peeve's face. Just to move the plot along,
here, boy.
Jenny's name and number are written right next to the phone. So they find out that she's at the club with Sinclair. Instead of looking at the rest of the wall, two of them decide to go down to the club. The remaining two notice there's a picture of Cliff and Jenny together. Sadly for them, they are vastly outnumbered and the old pilots are more than up to the task of taking them out. But not before a random bullet hits the pack.
Picked up a ricochet. If you hit that button, we'd be all over the map by now.
Gee, a piece of gum really can keep his butt in the air. And what wonder gun that must be to seal a leaking fuel tank. So Cliff flies to the club, manages to find a place to hide the pack, and... Really? You put the costume on over your leather jacket. You do realize it would probably have fit just right without that extra layer, right? Cliff brings them some soup and drops a note to Jenny. Listens to the two bad-mouthing him, and...
You worked here long.
Oh, yes, I waited on you last time.
Oh, come on. At least come up with a lie that Sinclair won't know right away is a lie.
So,
Oh, sorry. He's a Hollywood actor. He doesn't notice peons. So Cliff convinces Jenny to leave just when the mobsters show up to find her. With the lamest line ever.
Give me one good reason why I should believe any of this.
Because if anything ever happened to you, I'd go out of my mind. I swear I would.
But while he's doing that, Sinclair finds the note and realizes the gig is up. And the bad guys should be thankful that taxis are hard to get in LA. All hell breaks loose when Lothar shows his ugly mug and starts chasing Cliff all over the club. But he manages to get back to the laundry room and dressed properly again. Which means he's now flying all over the club while the bad guys are trying to get him. A net? Really? He's got a fucking jetpack on his back and you think an unsecured net is going to stop him? Oh, I guess it does. For a while. But he soon notices the big window in the ceiling and escapes while the bad guys just ignore flying glass.
don't go, Jenny. Our evening's just begun.
Hey, does this smell like chloroform to you? Jenny wakes up to Sinclair trying all his old lines on her.
You said that to Greta Garbo. Napoleon's mistress. Moonlight on Broadway. Carole Lombard. The scene on the top of the Empire State Building.
It must really suck to try and pick up an Uber fan. I mean, they know the lines and what films you said them in.
Tonight when we danced, I felt something move inside me.
It's called your penis. Jenny decides that Sinclair isn't the man she wants to be with and wanders off into the library where she searches the bookcase. Now, Jenny, just because he's a villain doesn't mean that there's going to be a secret. Oh, for fuck's sake. A secret room, plans for the jetpack, a radio? What could it all mean? Who does this actor really work for? German? Still not getting it. Oh, he's a Nazi!
Spy. Saboteur. Fascist. All of the above.
Well, it's good to keep your options open. Lothar, get some. Cliff heads back to the diner, but nobody seems to be around. Strange that. Thankfully, whoever was there didn't stick around to see you hide the pack in the trash, and see him write down the address and time for the meeting.
Freeze, FBI!
Wait, were the feds still there or did they come back? So why didn't they see him stash the rocket?
Remember me?
Oh look, Peeves and Hughes are getting along.
Oh, nothing to it, Howard. Just basic aviation.
Secord, I don't think you know the game you're playing. Go ahead, roll it.
Wait, does he have someone sitting up in a small projector room just in case he needs a film reel played? Imagine having to do that job. How does a person know what reel to roll? Did Howard Hughes always have stolen Nazi propaganda films lined up to show people? So because the power of boners is so strong, he punches the Fed, again, and runs off, hang gliding on the prototype of the Spruce Goose.
The son of a bitch will fly.
He runs back and gets the rocket, because why would the Feds have someone outside to follow him? And we get the final meetup. The mobsters surround Cliff, the Nazis surround the mobsters, and the Feds surround the Nazis. Which of course leads to a clusterfuck of bullets as the Nazi Zeppelin flies overhead. Sinclair escapes with Ginny, drawing Cliff up to the Zeppelin for the worst wah-wah encounters I think I've ever seen. Like this little gem. Or this one.
Where's your stunt man now, Sinclair?
I do my own stunts.
Or this.
My pilot is the finest in Germany. We are in very capable hands. He will not let us down.
Dear gods, why does anyone bother to say anything here? I mean, the moment you say something, you were proven wrong. So Sinclair gets the rocket, but minus the protection of the all-powerful gum, so blows up. Peace and Hughes save Cliff and Jenny, and everyone reads the story in the paper the next day. But what about our heroes? The rocket is gone, and they have no plane. Howard Hughes to the rescue!
Another month she'll be ready for the National.
That's right. He brings in a GB plane, and Jenny even saved the plans for the rocket that Peeves drew up. So maybe things are going to be alright. And we end on this line.
It was the closest I'll ever get to heaven, Mr. Hughes. Well, maybe not.
See you around, Rocketeer. Oh. Don't ever fly her without this.
Wait, you mean he has to chew this gum when he has sex with Jenny? That's a bit forward. Oh! He's giving the plane to the boys. Right. So that was the Rocketeer. A lot of the effects don't hold up, and some of the lines and setups were just awful. But honestly, the tones, the acting, the cinematography is pretty damn good. Even decades later, it is an enjoyable film. It was what movies like Captain America and the Fantastic Four wanted to be. And what Captain America became once Disney got involved. I would definitely recommend it to anyone who says that 90s couldn't do comic book movies. But what do you think? Is it a dated movie that doesn't hold up, or a classic that should be revisited? Leave a comment down below, send us a tweet, or post a comment on our Facebook page and let us know. As always, thank you very much for watching. And stay tuned for more from Ollamh Productions.
If you wanna see some crazy,
Cheerio!
you should meet me and my friends.
Oh, you're telling me that? Wait, is that like makeup on the waitress, or is that like the waitress the character herself has actually been burned? Besides the action figures, there were also toy guns from the series. Because again, it was the 80s, and you could get away with that. They were